And that moves us into our second story and last story of the day regarding The View, basically doing a roundtable, saying a bunch of nonsense, which I know you're not shocked about, but they're actually going after Americans in general, white suburban women. We'll get to that one with Sunny Houston in one moment here. I mean, again, they all just take jabs at Americans as well as Republicans about what's taking place. I think it speaks enough for itself as they talk here. Let's continue.
We were talking about who's getting the more effective message out. You had something you wanted to say.
Well, yeah, I would say if you're answering that part, which party's getting the message out, I would actually say the Republicans are. And I tend to vote independent and left, and this is what's frustrating to me right now. My number one issue, which is a privileged stance to take in this election, is the denial of the election. The election deniers are my biggest fear right now because I think it stands at the heart of democracy. But I also recognize that 3 in 5 Americans live check to check. So I'm standing in a different place than a lot of them. And right now, the issues that we're seeing the most is inflation, as we said. That's low-hanging fruit. Any party in control during a bad economy is going to be blamed. But then crime and abortion are the other two top issues.
Okay.
No, wait 1 second.
Go ahead, I have
The problem with the crime thing that's really bothering me is the only thing the left is saying, even Kathy Hochul in New York, is it's a right-wing talking point. It's nothing. I don't believe the left is light on crime. But what people say matters to them. You can't tell them and dismiss it as invisible. If they say there's crime, it even doesn't matter what the statistics are. If they feel unsafe, you have to answer that. The left is not soft on crime. Only really
Am I hearing this correctly? Am I in like some alternate reality? The left is soft on crime. They're not hard on crime. Just look at California or other Democrat, progressive leftist ran areas. Literally, they're not prosecuting people. There's no cash bail. You literally just commit a crime and you're just let go. We've covered that on the Bald Brad show. They're not hard on crime. That's why you have crime increase everywhere in Democrat ran areas, because they're soft on it. They don't care about it. They wanted to defund the police. Help. They literally wanted to abolish the police. All because of the disparities and police brutality and police racism, all this nonsense that they've been pushing for decades now. I'm not saying there isn't some sort of mechanism within some police departments. I mean, there's some racist cops out there. The vast majority aren't. There are cases of police brutality that should be investigated. That does happen, but it's not some epidemic. It's not sitting there being an institution within itself that's oppressing people and destroying people's lives and killing people and all these other things. It's just not happening. But she's going to sit there and say that they're basically hard on crime. Does anybody believe that? That's a bunch of nonsense, but let's continue.
Far progressives, super far progressives might believe in alternatives to police and all these weird things, but the majority of people that are moderate and left are not soft on crime.
Okay,
answer the question, though. In these debates, don't say the right's making it up. Say, I hear you, and this is what I'll do.
I know. What they should be saying is the following, okay? They should be saying that while violent crime has risen, the states that have weakened gun laws have seen the gun crime surges. Those are the states. And the Democrat-run major cities spend 38% more on policing per person than Republican-run states. For some reason, you're right. The Democrats can't seem to get these words.
Who cares? Who cares if they're paying more or paying less? What does that matter at all? Is they're trying to make a correlation to the fact that there's an increase in crime, but yet you're paying more per police officer? That's supposed to decrease the homicides or some sort of crime because you're paying more to the police officer? I'm sure there's an association to be made there, but it's not a strong one, that's for damn sure.
Words out that we don't have no trouble saying.
Saying it doesn't exist is not an answer to the problem. And that's what they keep saying. Republicans.
But what's also surprising to me is the abortion issue. I read a poll just yesterday that white Republican suburban women are now going to vote Republican.
Why?
It's almost like roaches voting for Raid, right?
I think that's voting. No, it's insulting to the voter.
Yeah, that is insulting to the voter. I would say so. I'll take the white suburban vote. I mean, hell, they didn't necessarily go out for Trump, but continue this messaging, The View, please, because there's a lot of white suburban women that watch The View. Yes, call them roaches. Yeah, call them all these things. We'll take your vote, folks. Happily take your vote because, hell, just look at what the Democrats are doing here. I can't emphasize this enough. It sucks watching this, okay? I got to sit through this type of suffering with all of you. We might as well suffer together. The reason why this is important because it shows the narrative of the progressive left. They sit there and push this out, and that's all they do. in conjunction with what's the narrative of the Biden administration, in conjunction with what the media is doing as well. And I think it's important to see the consistencies in the media, the Biden White House, the Democrat Party, as well as the media itself, meaning like The View, pushing this bunch of nonsense out there, calling freaking Americans roaches, white suburban women, because they want to sit there and vote for what they feel like they should vote for. Just because they voted for Biden before, I'm not going to sit there and call them roaches. I don't agree with what they voted for. I mean, hell, look at what Joe Biden's doing. But this is what happens when you don't go with their narrative, folks. If you don't go with their ideology, you don't go with the game plan, they turn their backs on you real quick. So if you're a Democrat watching this, they're going to turn on you, folks, like lights on, lights out. It's going to be just like that. So now they're all roaches. Unbelievable. They continue here with the insults.
Voting against their own self-interest. Do they want to live in Gilead?
Okay,
do they
so do we
want to be in the hands?
Do we love
tail?
democracy or not? Because just saying that it's insulting to the voter. People make up decisions on what's right for their family, and the idea that you should have a say for everyone else's vote.
The fact that women are voting against
you
their
had a different
own
view on
healthcare.
abortion not that long ago, and you evolved
I
on
have
it.
that view.
But that issue is
Right, but
have
then why is another woman
But
not
I am very
able to have a different
surprised
view?
that white Republican suburban women
But why
are
have you
voting
so
against
recently
their
evolved on
own
the
health
issue?
care. I have not really recently evolved on the issue. I am Catholic. That is my faith. I believe that abortion is wrong. For me, there's a separation between state, government, and church. And I do not have the right to tell someone else.
Here we go with the clapping again, and I don't have the right to tell somebody if they should be able to have an abortion or not. You don't have to have a religious argument for this, by the way. We've covered this at length on the Bald Brad Show. You can literally have a secular argument regarding the passing of Roe v. Wade on how it was wrong. We've talked about that a lot, just going back from Griswold v. Connecticut, rolling into Roe v. Wade, then rolling into Dobbs. It was a bad judgment. It was a bad ruling. They even went above and beyond their powers that they were granted by creating certain limitations into which trimesters a state could basically opt in and tell you can't get one and whatnot. So I'm not going to sit there and beat a dead horse with it. Go back to our older episodes and look at what we talked about with Roe v. Wade, Griswold v. Connecticut, with the rights to privacy, the zones of privacy, the penumbras, the emanations, all this stuff, folks. So they're going to sit there and inject religious viewpoints in it when even on a secular viewpoint, regardless of religion, it was a bad ruling.
Sonny,
However, they are voting against their own
But this is
self-interest.
what you're saying is a good example. As someone sitting here, that's a huge issue for me. This election, the deniers are more important for me. Everyone has a priority list. So to me, I'm voting, that is a full stop problem for me, that I actually think election deniers being put into office, it used to be just former President Donald Trump. Now it's everyone running on the Republican side. That scares me more than anything. So
This just shows you how just drunk she is on this whole ideology of all Republicans are election deniers now, folks. Which goes hand in hand with what the question was of Karine Jean-Pierre being asked just the other day as well, of voting Republican. And Peter Doocy, this comes from Peter Doocy specifically, goes, well, if Republicans vote for Republicans, are they a threat to democracy then? Which is kind of what she's pushing here by saying, well, if you're election deniers, then that goes against democracy and that could hurt the integrity of basically what we're founded upon of a Republican democracy. What a crazy statement. Am I not wrong, folks? Let me know in the comments down below. I mean, this is nuts. Just because you question an election, all of a sudden you're an election denier. Even though the Democrat Party themselves have done this time and time again, literally since the 80s, by the way. Literally since the 80s, they've been denying elections. Most recently, Hillary Clinton, just the other day, we got camera footage of it. Her saying that, oh, well, they're trying to rig the elections, election deniers. She denied the election. She wrote an entire book on blaming anybody and everybody why she lost. You have Kamala Harris doing the same thing. I mean, it's time and time again. Karine Jean-Pierre just had a tweet, too, years ago doing the exact same thing. But no, it's just Republicans somehow. Just Republicans.
even that women's rights is second for me.
Can I just
Everyone has priorities.
You're not voting for Republicans. You're voting for a cult. Remember that. It's a cult. It's not Republicans anymore.
I mean, I told you, it's just a round table. Everybody just taking their jabs. White suburban women are roaches. All Republicans, the leadership, are just anti-election deniers or election deniers. Now we're cultish, and she's going to laugh about it. And then her audience is going, oh, yeah, nope, it is. I mean, that's more cultish than anything, right? Just clapping with anything and everything that they say without actually taking some thought behind it, going, man, that's a little bit crazy. So this is The View. In conjunction with the Democrat Party, in conjunction with the Biden White House. It's all the same messaging, you guys. I mean, literally, Karine Jean-Pierre the other day, and we covered it here, that was her opening talking point on that press briefing was that there's these mega MAGA Republicans that are election deniers and it's a threat to democracy, which is echoing what Joe Biden said months prior, that we're a threat to democracy. We're going against the institution and all these other things. It's all the same messaging, all the same platform, coming from all the same mouthpieces.
There are because we have to go. I'm just going to have my little 2 seconds say after I said I wasn't going to say anything else. Is it possible that we can all vote on a myriad of things that we believe in?
Yeah.
I think we can have the time we need to take to see everybody doesn't do everything you want them to do. But what is taking you in a better direction? Now, you want to talk about crime? Yeah, there's a lot to be said about crime. But it's not just one thing. It's not just black people. Stop showing that. It's not just Hispanic people. Stop showing that.
That took a really hard turn, right? I mean, nobody was talking about race here. If you noticed that during the entire 4 minutes and 18 seconds, I don't think anybody mentioned race other than Sunny Host and talk about white suburban women. And she's going to just inject this of like, we got to stop talking about black people. What? Who's talking about black people? Who's talking about Hispanic people? I mean, there is connections. If you look at the Washington Post database, since I think it goes back to like 2015, you can find data all the way back to the 80s. I mean, 13% of the population commits literally half the homicides. And then white people virtually make up the other half as well. So we can talk about both sides. That's fine. I'm all for just talking about it. I don't think race has anything to do with somebody committing a homicide. I think there are certain patterns that we can look for in a society and try to figure out, okay, why are certain races more likely to commit these crimes? What areas are they growing up in? What milieus do they have? What's going on at home? I mean, there's a lot of litany of variables that interject into why somebody commits a crime. But like I said, just a hard left-hand turn here going, oh, what the hell, the black people and Hispanic people and crime. You can vote for anybody you want. There's a lot of things. It's what the hell? What the hell?
Stop pretending that it's a one-lane issue. These are multiple issues that we are smart enough to figure out. We are not stupid people. Americans know what they're doing. They will go the right way or they'll go the wrong way. We'll find out when we find out.
I'm laughing because it's like a lot of it was just a bunch of obvious things. And I get that I say a bunch of obvious things on the show as well. Some people don't find them as obvious, but it's just kind of like, if you just put a lot of energy behind what you say and you put your hands like this, you know, and you take little short pauses here and there, it just seems a lot more intellectual. Like, Jesus loves you. Yeah. You know, the sky. If we look at the sky and we take our time to analyze it and you'll see that it's blue. Yeah, you're right. So it's just, this is The View. It's theater, folks. It's comical. It's comedy. It's content, which I like covering here on the show is The View because it's hilarious. It's nonsensical. They just shout a bunch of things. They read off their cards that literally don't help their argument, but also doesn't hurt them. I mean, honestly, it's just a waste of time. But hey, folks, again, I know I'm repeating myself. This shows what's coming up here in the next week and a half. Mega MAGA Republicans. We're a bunch of election deniers. We're cultish. White suburban women are now roaches, according to The View. I mean, you're going against women's rights and women's health care if you are against abortion, and somehow they're just going to tie that into the religious argument, even though you can look at it a total secular view, has nothing to do with religion, and know that it's a bad ruling. I mean, it's a litany of things, folks. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.